Sinners is what we're going to review today. This will have some spoilers in it. So if you have not seen the movie, I highly suggest you save this to watch later. Go watch the movie and then come back. Right? 'Cause I'm not going to be heavy spoilers, but I will be talking about some spoilers and and revealing some major plot points. So I just feel like don't watch this if you haven't seen the movie. With that being said, let's get right into it. Spoilerish review for Sinners. It's a phenomenal movie, man, but I think it was mismarketed. And I want to say that first because I think that's really important. And not by Ryan Coogler. I think he did a great job not revealing anything, and the cast did a great job not revealing anything. In the interviews they did for the press run for this, I do think the trailers, one, gave away too much. I think the trailer, especially the second trailer, gave away way too much. I think revealing that Stack became a vampire was way too much of a spoiler. And I think revealing Stack and Mary becoming vampires was too much of a spoiler. I think that through naturally watching it, you would have got to that point. But I think going in knowing they both turned to vampires, and also marketing this as like a vampire movie when it really isn't. Not that there aren't vampires in it, obviously, but they really did a disservice to the movie going experience of watching this as spoiler free as possible and really digesting what this movie is going to give us by revealing in the trailers that both of them turn to vampires. Because I feel like going through that emotion blindly would have really hit differently than going into this movie knowing they're both going to turn vampires, because then you're sitting from beginning until it happens, like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Is she already a vampire? When is it going to happen? Like, and I don't think that's the way that Ryan Coogler intended us to feel for this. I think he wanted us to go in not knowing that, thinking she's a regular person, not thinking she's a vampire in disguise until that scene comes when, Stack has her go out, or she volunteers to go out and see what these white people are all about. And I feel like, that would have been more powerful just to get it through there, instead of like see the trailer, not see it happen in the trailers, but see in the trailers that she is a vampire and that Stack also kind of turns into a vampire. And I feel like that was a spoiler, two spoilers that did not need to happen. And I think marketing this movie as a vampire film, when the vampires didn't really become relevant until the third act, like become like the focal point until the third act, was kind of not disingenuous, but it was just kind of like I get why they did it, because when you look at this movie, it's so hard. It's not that it's hard to market in a way of like, there's a lot of stuff you obviously do not want to spoil, but there's also like Stack becoming a vampire and Mary becoming being vampires, because I feel like if you didn't spoil that, you really would have had a different movie going experience for people who, and if you've never seen a trailer and you went into this blind, please comment below, let me know like what it was like when that happened, because I really want to know what it's like to have not known that going into this movie and then just seeing them become vampires, opposed to like waiting the whole movie for them to turn. That would have been really interesting. So I really want to see both sides of that. But it's hard to market this movie, man, because it's not really a horror movie. There's horror elements in here, but to call it a straight up horror movie, I can't say that, because a majority of the movie is about Stack and Smoke building up to this shindig, and then the vampires come. You know what I mean? So like, it's not like the beginning of the movie was like vampires murdering people or turning it, like, it's not like, or this the head vampire getting this army throughout the movie, and then it's like the vampire like two people, and then it kind of turned into the rest of the party goers, who try to escape. So, or not even try to escape, but like left early and stuff. So like, it's hard to call it a vampire film. It's also really difficult to call it a horror film. There's horror elements, there's some jump scares, but that's not the majority of the movie. The majority of the movie was something completely different. It felt like more of a historical drama, like, and that's not even a bad thing. It was done amazingly, but that just shows how much was juggled in this film, and the fact that Ryan Coogler was able to navigate all that, make it very cohesive, and have it make sense is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal job. the he also did a great job of showing us what needed to be showed and then telling us what needed to be told, but not in the way of exposition. Let me explain from the telling side of things first. Sometimes exposition can really bog down a movie and be really boring and stupid and waste time. And especially when done poorly. But I feel like in this film, how he told stuff was like there's a lot of history between some certain characters or history of a character, and we learned through very meaningful dialogue that wasn't just exposition. Like the tension between Smoke and his girl was that conversation. We learned so much through that whole scene and the dialogue between those two, the history between them and their child, right, that died, and the history of kind of like why Smoke and Stack left Mississippi and went to Chicago, right, and kind of alluding to why they came back. And there's so much history there. Or the conversation between Mary and conversation between Mary and Stack, where that conversation happened. So there's a lot of these dialogue, a lot of these conversational pieces that happened is how we get a lot of these moments, right? Then you have the show aspect of, like, for example, in the film where I think it was Smoke went into town and needed help, and the daughter of the Asian couple went across the street, and that beautiful shot showed the Jim Crow South. It showed the segregation. It showed that there's the white only side versus the colored side, and showed they can do, there's documentaries and books and stuff on this too about like how in that time you had Asian or Chinese people like operating businesses in that segregation and kind of find themselves in the middle of stuff. So like they could serve white people and also in their own, another establishment serve black people, and they showed that through the movie where the husband and wife had two separate stores that one served colored, one served white people, and the daughter was able to cross that boundary in terms in which colored people, white people wouldn't or couldn't, right? So that's very interesting, and that's a way of showing it instead of just like telling it or having a scene that's showing segregation, all that stuff. They had a shot that was organic to the scene, and they just showed it very well and never cut. And I really thought that was an awesome shot. That was awesome. So you have stuff like that, and that's that's just a taste of how he balanced and navigated this film. And that that kind of attention to detail and care should show you that he, throughout the whole movie, he has made that a theme of keeping it very cohesive in that sense. And then you have the scene where they're all dancing. You have Sammy singing, and you have like the past, present, future. You have the blend of culture. You have the evolution. You have all this. Oh man, it was such a beautiful scene that I don't think I appreciate on the first as much on the first. I loved it, but I think on the second watch I'll appreciate it even more. Because unfortunately in my head, I'm thinking this is a vampire movie. So I'm still like, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm enjoying the scene. I'm loving the scene. I'm not disappointed. It's not bad. It's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in cinematic history. But it was just marketed to me as a vampire movie. And so I'm just like, and a lot of people I went to go see with my friend, and other people in the theater too, like they're thinking it's a vampire movie. Like we're going to see some like basically Blade in a way, like Vampire Hunters or some shit. Like it was kind of marketed in a way that's what it was going to be. And I think that's disingenuous to the movie itself, because it's much more than just a vampire movie. It is a very beautiful movie that's dipped in culture and dipped in history with fictional elements and vampires. And I think it's a very well blended movie, man. And I think not the end credit scene, but like the end scene where it turns like a straight up Michael B. Jordan action film, and it was Michael B. Jordan or Smoke versus the Ku Klux Klan, was an amazing way to end the movie. I'm sorry, it was just such a great way to end the movie, man. And there's so many different movies in this one film, and somehow was all cohesive from start to finish. I don't know how you do that. Don't get it twisted. As someone who directs movies myself, this is a very complicated film to get done. And I don't think you can pitch this to anyone without them thinking you're insane. Especially I mean, really pitching this to someone and really showing how this is a lot of moving pieces. This is a lot of stuff that only a veteran filmmaker with an amazing imagination can execute the way Ryan Coogler did. And I think it was really cool to see the end and see that scene of Smoke seeing his girl and his baby on the other side. I think that was a really beautiful moment for me, and for that character, and really showed who that character was, showed the love that character had, even though he could be cold and calculating. The amount of love that character had for his family, right? And then the end credit scene. For those that, because some people left the theater, for those that didn't see the end credit scene, boy, you missed out, because that's the actual ending to this movie, and it was so damn beautiful, man. To see Sammy in his old ass age, and then to see Stack and Mary in their vampire forms come into the bar club where Sammy performs, and see that they got, and just the little nuanced things like, hey, there's some people that want to come meet you. Can they come in? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then the music plays because the realization of the character, and then he's like, oh shit, vampires. But then to not see just any type of vampires, which made the ending real cheesy to me. It was Stack and Mary. And that, my friends, is, and that conversation they had, and then the shots of like Smoke and Stack together, and like seeing the sunrise. Is like, that's the last time I saw my brother, and last time I felt the sun on my skin. I don't know if that direct quoted that, but like that's basically what it was. And just like, that was so, oh my god. That's how you end a movie. I'm sorry. That's how you freaking end it. Dude, it is such a good movie, bro. It's such a good movie. And you have to watch it in IMAX. But yeah, it's a great movie. And just seeing the aspect ratio changes during different scenes, like when shit's going down and they're about to fight the vampires because homegirl, I can't remember the Chinese lady whose husband turned into a vampire, when she invites them in and the ratio changes almost like a video game. Like, you can start seeing the anime and then also Western cartoons and comic books and video games. You can start seeing the references in filmmaking more and more now with these younger filmmakers, and seeing how it's influencing their art, influencing their filmmaking is so cool to see. And yeah, man, this movie is just so good. It is so brilliantly done. It is one of those films, for the first time since, in my opinion, since Captain America Civil War, I'm going to go watch it like 2-3 times. I can see, this is a movie I can see myself watching like 2-3 times in theaters, and then owning it on Blu-ray, DVD, and like enjoying it as well. This is a good movie. And it's owned by Warner Brothers for now, so it'll definitely probably pop up on Max. But this is something you can own on Blu-ray for sure. This is a good movie. But that's it for the movie review. It's just something that, it's just such a good movie that I really liked. And there's so many dope moments, man. And there's moments, and I want to do a deep dive spoiler review after I watched the second time, because there's some stuff that I feel like I didn't appreciate as much the first time. Not because it wasn't good, but just because like I was in a different mindset when I went to go into the movie, and also it was just such a spectacular watch that sometimes it takes me, I like to do deep dives in 2 to 3 watches where I can start like, going into it more so, okay, that's what that meant, or I missed that the first time, stuff like that. So like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts on Sinners. Have you seen it? If you haven't, please go support this movie, man. Let's run those numbers up, because this is a phenomenal movie, man, and deserves to be seen. This is the original films I'm talking about. This These are the original films we need. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.